Alright guys, I'm out with my son right now, waiting in the car, and we were just talking about grandparents and stuff. So, back in the day, back way in the day, grandparents ran the show, right? With mothers. My grandmother mostly told my mother what she thought, and when my mother tried to raise my kids, I was like, I'm the mother, you're not. Same with my mother-in-law, I'm the mother, you're not. My mother-in-law didn't listen to her mother when she raised my husband, and that was, I think, a little bit different than what it was like in the day. So my neighbor Mary, who was my elderly neighbor, she would tell me, like, when she had her babies, her mother would feed them mashed potatoes, and she would be like, you know, they're kind of young for that, and she'd be like, oh, they'll be fine. So there used to be a generation of mothers telling mothers, other mothers, telling their daughters how to raise their kids. We've kind of lost that. Some of it's good that we have come out of a lot of stuff, and we are able to say, this is my turn now. You had your turn. It's my turn. Not only did my mother and father kill my kid, and I think a lot of it was also ignorance, but when I had my first son, who I was very protective of, they fed him, my mother fed him formula right from the can, no water, and I kind of freaked out, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to mix that, right? And she's like, oh, he liked it. So she's like, he's fine. And that's when I bottle fed and I didn't nurse. And then another time it was no car seats. And I'm like, what are you doing with no car seats? And, it was the blame game. It was, well, you forgot to leave the car seat. Yes, I did, but it doesn't mean you can go off to, the store with three of my sons without a car seat. So another time, my third son, I let my mother take my kids sometimes out. And if I didn't let her take them whenever she wanted and do whatever she wanted, she would throw a fit and say, I can't grandparent. And I would say, you can go to these stores, but no, I don't want them going over here and over here. So I had to put a lot of boundaries up with my family. One time she took my kid to work, my kids to work, and the boss was, when I went in to pick up my kids, the boss was like, oh yeah, these two are okay, but this one, I don't know how he's going to turn out. This was right in front of my son, and I talked to my mother after and said, what is she doing putting him down? She kept going on about it, and I didn't think it was funny. And she's like, oh, that's just the way she is and stuff. And I had to stand up for my son, because my parents also would put one of my sons down a lot. And I would be like, he would be treated like the black sheep, a lot like how my brother was treated like a black sheep in family. When I was little, I was favored highly from my grandmother, and my brother was a black sheep for some reason on the Kate side. The Baker side, my brother was favored a lot, where I was more, neglected. So getting through the extended family was a lot of work, getting through those old ways of thinking. Your parents are not always right with the way they do things, but they did have their turn to raise you. And that's kind of where the buck stops, because you don't want grandparents interfering and taking over. They can definitely be a support if they want, but they can't run your family, because it is your husband and you who are taking care of a family, not them.